I love Logic. I use it every single day. Yet despite how great it's been to me, there's still a few things I wish it would let me do. Number 1, I want to only select active, unhidden tracks when I shift-click all of the tracks. Every time I produce a song or have someone in for a tracking session where I'll need to export sometimes hundreds of tracks to another engineer, for the longest time, I was command-clicking one by one to ensure that I only exported the active tracks, since by default, it will include the hidden tracks when you start at the top and shift-click to the bottom. To be fair, there is a workaround which I discovered far too recently, but it's under the global edit dropdown where you can select all tracks there and it will ignore the hidden tracks. But I still think the default behavior is unintuitive and I would prefer to see it changed. Number 2, while we're talking about exporting, I want it to go faster. I just want it to go faster. Compared to other DAWs, Logic has got to be one of the slowest for printing out your mix. I personally print a bounce after every session, so I've really started to notice that as a song comes along, it just takes forever. And only near the end am I printing through hardware using real-time bounces, and I honestly don't know if it's like any slower by that point. They did finally add the ability to bounce and place multiple tracks at once, which has sped things up within the session and kind of from a production standpoint. But by the time you're at the end of a mix and you have a bunch of processing, you may as well just leave and do something else, honestly. It takes too long. Number 3, I want native ARA integration for Apple Silicon, specifically for Melodyne. You currently have to print every single vocal into Melodyne that you want to tune. With ARA, it seamlessly pops up when you open it, which is super nice when combined with Melodyne Studio. The AU plugin architecture currently prevents the global access that ARA needs to integrate properly, which does help with overall stability since one plugin can't take down the whole DAW, but I just want Apple to find a workaround besides Rosetta mode, which emulates the way Intel processors work. Native splice integration would also be nice, but I don't know that we're going to get that. Number 4, I wish Logic would remember my project settings without me having to use a session template. Now, normally that would be a non-issue and even something I would encourage, and it's something I did use, but I've ran into weird bugs like the click track breaking every time I add a track when going from sessions made on older versions of Logic to newer ones. So at this point, I prefer to just use the new project window, but that means I have to change multiple settings like the track header components, catch playhead, MIDI chase, and global tracks every single time, and I wish it would just remember those things. Number 5, last but not least, I want the ability to freeze buses. Now, at least how I mix, they're usually where the more intensive processing takes place, and as a mix session moves along, I don't have as many options to save on computing resources when using some of the beefier plugins. Now, I do understand why they may not want to encourage that, because if you forget that it's frozen, you'd be making changes that you aren't hearing, but as a Pro Tools deserter, it's something I used to have, and I would still rather have it. That pretty much sums up my complaining for now. Let me know in the comments what drives you nuts about your favorite DAW, and I will see you next week. Bye.